Good morning, everybody. Once again, I welcome you to the discussion of General English paper. The topic for today's discussion is the word building process or the formation of words. We know that almost all languages of the world contains words. So it is essential, it is important to understand how the words are formed or how the words are built. So there are certain processes or certain mechanisms that take place in the formation of word. So there are some most common things. Let's see which are the processes of word building or the formation of word. It is suffixes, prefixes, coinage, reduplication, conversion, compounding, clipping, acronyms, back formation. So these are some of the commonest process of the formation of the word. So we know that words are built up of different parts, or we call it as a morpheme. So most commonest process of word formation, the first one which is found in English language and other languages, is called as affixation. So affixation is the process where something is added to the base or the stem or the root. When the part or the morpheme is added before the root, before the stem, we call it as prefix. When something is added before the stem, before the root or the base of the word, it is called as prefix. Now you can see in the word itself, prefix. So fix is root word, fix is base, fix is stem, and when pre is added, the prefix pre is added to the fix, a new word is formed as prefix. So this process is called as prefix process. When there is a fixed word, there is a root word, there is a base, there is a stem, and prefix is added to the base of the stem and new word is formed. So number of words can be formed by adding prefixes. Just you can see here, there is one word, fair. So fair is base, fair is stem, fair is root word, and when prefix un is attached before the root, before the stem, new word is formed, it is called as unfair. So fair became unfair. Then paid, it can become unpaid or it can become prepaid, postpaid. So this process is called as prefix. Remember, we have to keep in mind when some word is added or when the prefix is added before the fix, when the prefix is attached before the fixed word, stem word or the root word, we get the prefix. It is called as prefix. It is called as, this process is called as prefix. Here you can see the words like un, pre, post, these are the prefix. So number of words can be formed by adding something before the root, before the stem or before the base. So one of the commonest processes is prefix. Then you can see in, it is also one of the common prefix. Injustice, injustice. Perfect, perfect is root word, this I am is prefix, it becomes imperfect. So this process is called as prefix. The next one is, which comes under the affixation, is suffix. So difference between prefix and suffix is that prefix comes before the base before the root or the stem of the word. On the contrary, prefix is attached after the root, after the base, or after the stem. Now you can see here the word is judge. So judge is root word, it is a base, it is a stem, and when ment, suffix ment is attached to it, it becomes judgment. It becomes judgment. So the part of the word which is attached to the fixed word, it is called as suffix. It is attached after the fixed word. In prefix it is attached before the word, and suffix it is attached after the word. Then ness is also kind of suffix. For example, kindness. Then less, L-E-S-S, is also suffix. Sense, less, shameless. So this is the process which is called as affixation. This is the most commonest process which is found in the formation of or the building of word or introducing a new word. The next one is, which is important one, is coinage. In this process of formation of word or in this process of building word, a new word is formed, which is completely new to the lexicon of that language. That word was not in existence before it is introduced by the users. Now you can see number of words are which were not in the lexicons or which were not in the vocabulary of that language becomes a routine word. So coinage is the process of word formation where new words are formed. So it is a less frequent use process. It is a less frequent. It is not the common process. It is less frequent process. Names of certain products, names of certain persons, or names of certain things, when they are used as common noun, they are to be considered as process of coinage. Now let's see the example of Cadbury. So Cadbury is a sort of product. It is a product. It is item. It is a particular. And now in India, Cadbury is associated with a chocolate bar. So Cadbury is a proper name, proper noun. Now it has become a common noun because it is associated with chocolate. It has association with a chocolate bar. Then when such proper nouns, now Cadbury is a proper noun. When such proper nouns are used as a common noun, once again I repeat the sentence, when proper nouns, so proper nouns can be the name of person, can be the name of place, or can be the name of thing. When such proper nouns are used as common noun, they are used in day-to-day conversation, day-to-day communication. When they become a routine word, they are called as eponyms. So eponyms refers to proper noun which are used as common nouns. So actually they are proper noun, but later the connotation of that proper noun becomes as a common noun and they are used by people without forgetting that it is a proper noun. It is considered as common noun. So this process, when proper noun becomes common noun, it's called as eponyms. They can be formed by, there is a different process of forming eponyms. It means changing proper noun to common noun. The first one is, it can be named after So it can be named after persons who have invented that particular thing or particular item. So inventor's name is used as common noun instead of proper noun. So first process is in eponyms is it is named after persons. For example, look at the example. What? W-A-T-T. So what is considered now as a common noun, and actually it is a proper name. It is named after the inventor James Watt. So James Watt. Same is the case with Volta. So Volta is also nowadays considered as a common noun. Actually, it is named after the inventor of that particular thing or particular component or phenomenon or thing, and the name of the person or inventor is Alessandro Volta. So you can see here Watt and Volta, they are a proper noun. They are named after James Watt and Alessandro Volta. Now they are called as now they are considered as common name, which is called as eponyms. So this is the process of formation of words, how proper name becomes a common names. This process is called as eponyms. The second criteria is sometimes it is not named after inventor. In first example, in first instance, you can see here James Watt and Alessandro Volta are the inventors, the scientists who invented this concept, and so this research, this finding is named after them, that is Watt and Volta. But sometimes the name of that particular thing or particular product or particular item is not named after the inventor. For example, look at the word sandwich. So this item, this particle, it is not named after the inventor, rather than it is named after John Montagu, who was 4th Earl of Sandwich. So sandwich is not named after the inventor, it is named after the person who was the 4th Earl of Sandwich, and his name was John Montagu. So sandwich is not named after the person who is inventor, rather than it is named after the person who was the 4th Earl of Sandwich, and his name was not Sandwich, but his name was John Montagu. So sometimes the eponyms are not named after the inventor, and in third instances, the third type of eponyms is it is named after place. So you can see here it can be named after person, it cannot be named after inventor. Sometimes in the name of the inventor is missing there, and in some cases eponyms are place. Eponyms refers to the place. For example, look at the word denims. So So denyms is not name of the inventor. Denyms is not the name of person. The denym refers to a city of France which is named as Nimes. So Nimes is one of the city from France, and after the Nimes there is Denyms. Name Denyms is derived from Nimes. So Nimes refers to the place, Nimes refers to the city, and from Nimes the word Denyms has been derived. The name Denyms has been used because it is named after a place, Nimes. So same is the case with jeans. So jeans is not also the name of inventor. Jeans is not the name of any person. So jeans is also named after a city which is from Italy, and its name is Genoa. So jeans is named after a city or a place where it is manufactured or produced, and the name jeans is derived from Genoa, which is also city, which is also place from Italy. So eponyms refers to, remember, we have to keep in mind, eponyms refers to a process of introducing or forming a new word by changing proper name into a common name. When proper name is used as a common name, it is to be considered as eponym. So coinage refers to the introduction of new word. It is less used process. It is not used on regular basis. New words are not regularly added to the lexicons of any language by this process of coinage. So it can be named after product, it can be named after person, it can be named after inventor, it can be named after a place. So coinage is the process where new words are added to the lexicons of language. So after coinage, there is one more process of formation of word. It is called as reduplication. So reduplication is one of the process or the method of building word. So reduplication, in this process, in this method, the stem or root or the base is repeated. Sometimes there can be a slight change either in consonant or vowel. So in reduplication you have to remember repetition of base. Repetition of base can be there, and second thing is that there can be slight change in consonants or vowels. So you can see many words are formed in not only in English language but other languages also. By the process of reduplication, you can see the words like tring, tring. Here you can see the root. Root is string, base is string, or it can be called as stem. So it is repeated, tring, tring. It is called as repetition. Repetition of base, tring, tring. So such words which are repeated, they are called as reduplication. So number of words can be found in English and other languages. For example, hush, hush, goody, goody, hush, hush, goody, goody, tring. Then words like words like this, which is repeated, stem is repeated. This process is called as reduplication, or the repetition of the base is there. In the second category, that is, there can be a slight change in a consonant or a vowel. For example, look at the word tip, top. So you can see here there is a slight change in the vowel. In the root, in the base, vowel E is there, E, and in the repetition there is change is made in vowel. It becomes A. E becomes A. This is a slight change in vowel. Tip, top. Then you can see criss, cross. Once again, slight change in vowel. Here vowel is E. Here we have used it A. Criss, cross. Criss, cross. Tip, top. Ding, dong. Ding dong. Sing song. Once again you can see here the position of slight change in vowel. There is not entire change in the word, just vowel is changed. From E it becomes A. So this repetition is called as change in consonant or change in vowel. So vowel can be changed, consonants can be changed. For example, look at the word walkie and talking. So here vowel is not changed. A slight change occurs in consonants. Here you can see in the first word, in the root or the base, there is a word called O. O is consonant and T is also consonant. Just slight change is made between a consonant. Consonant is changed or entire word is not changed. So this process is called as reduplication. In reduplication, remember, the base or the stem is repeated, or there can be a slight change either in vowel or either in consonant. So this change in consonant or the change in vowel helps to form, to create or build new word. So this is the one of the process which is used in all languages. For in Marathi also you can see the words like Ram Ram. So root is repeated, Ram Ram, Ram Ram. You can see here repetition of the base. Then sometimes you can see the speaker uses words like Vagere Vagere, Vagere Vagere, Tar आणि तर आणि तर किंवा तर तरी. You can see here there is slight change in consonant or vowel. So this process is called as reduplication. It is applicable, it can be used in all languages. Rose rose, words like rose rose, rose rose, or in Hindi dheere dheere. This is the reduplication. So after reduplication, one more process is there which is called as conversion. So conversion refers to change. In conversion there is a phonological change. So phonological change means phonological change. It means by making a change in pronunciation, we can change the function or class or the category of the word. So it means that we are going to introduce not a new word, but we are going to change the class or the category of the stem or the root by making a slight phonological change. So conversion is the process where the speaker or the users can create a new word or change the class of the word by changing articulation, by changing pronunciation, or by changing the stress. Now let us see some example how the function of the word is changed. Now I am going to write here some word. So in conversion we can change verb to noun. So verb can be converted into noun by phonological change, by change in pronunciation. Now let us see how we can convert verb into nouns. Now let us write down verb: desert, perfect, survey, object. Okay, there can be more number of verbs like export. So these are the verbs. When the speaker emphasizes, when the speaker lays stress on first syllable, desert, the stress is on first syllable. Phonological change, I am going to talk about the phonological change. So in verb, there will be the stress on first syllable, that is desert. Perfect, survey, the stress is on first syllable, that is sir. Here also you can see the stress is on first syllable, that is ob. And in export also stress is on first syllable. So at the time of utterance of these words, or at the time of using it as verb, the speaker or the user or the communicator, his focus is on the first syllable because he wanted to imply that it is verb. So you can see here the first is on, stress is on first syllable, that is desert. Perfect, survey, object, export. Then if the speaker wanted to intend them to be noun, then there will be the shift in stress. The focus of the speaker or the shift will be in shift of the stress or the syllable will be on the stress will be on the second syllable. Now look at the noun desert. So word is same, desert, but when it is to be used as verb, the syllable, first syllable is stress, and when it is to be used as noun, you can see here second syllable is used, that is desert. Second syllable is stress, desert. Then look at the verb perfect. Here also, in order to conversion means change. In order to change verb into a noun, the stress should be, focus should be on the second syllable, that is fect, perfect. When it will be pronounced as, when it will be uttered as perfect, it will become a noun. Otherwise, when it will be pronounced as perfect, it will be a verb. So phonological change in articulation changes the meaning or the class or the category or the function of that word. So you can see here the first syllable is stressed, so it becomes a verb. The second syllable is stressed, it becomes noun. So class is changed, function is changed. Now look at the word survey. So in verb, the stress is on first syllable, that is sir. And when it is to be used as a noun, the stress is on second syllable, that is for, survey. Same is the case with object. So here in verb, the stress is on first syllable, and when it is to be used as noun, the stress will be on second syllable, that is object. And look at the word export. In verb, the stress is on first syllable, and when it is to be used as noun, the stress will be on second syllable, that is export, exports. So phonological realization or phonological change helps us to understand whether the sound produced is noun or verb. So conversion is the process where we change the class, we change the function, we change the category of the word. The first one is, we can see here how verb is converted into a noun. Now let us look at this conversion through an example in a sentence. The sentence is like this. The textbook which is prescribed for our study. In that textbook there is a sentence. Mr. Kapoor I am going to put that sentence on the blackboard. Mr. Kapoor is host for Diwali party. So once again I am going to write the same sentence. Mr. Kapoor hosts Diwali party. Now you can see here, focus on underlined word. Mr. Kapoor is host for Diwali party. The second sentence, Mr. Kapoor hosts Diwali party. The sentences are same. We write here, we added morpheme yes because it is third person singular and sentence is in present form, so it will become hosts. So now look at how the function is changed, how the class is changed, how the category is changed. In the first sentence, Mr. Kapoor is host for Diwali party. So here you can see it is a noun. It is a noun. The host here is used as a noun. Then in the second sentence, the same word, that is host, is used as verb. So verb, host is here verb. In the first sentence it is noun. So you can see here, by making a change in by making change in our utterance, we can form verb, we can convert verb into noun and noun into verb. So Mr. Kapoor is host, here it becomes verb. So this process is called as the conversion. The process of conversion is also called as category change. Now, as we talked about, nouns can be converted into verb. In the first sentence, you saw how the noun is converted into verb. Mr. Kapoor hosts a party. Host was a noun, it became verb. Now, in the second example, we are going to talk about how the phrasal verbs can be changed into a noun by change in pronunciation. Phrasal verb to noun. So phrasal verb can be converted into noun. For example, look at the phrasal verb to print out. To print out. Print is verb, and to print out becomes phrasal verb. Phrase means a group of words in which there is a head word, and this head word is modified by other words. So print is here head word, and to and out modifies it. Now look at how this phrasal verb can become a noun. It can be used as a noun. Print out. I want to print out. To print out is a phrasal verb. It becomes noun as print out. The second instance is to drop out. So drop is verb. So it can become a noun as drop out. So first example, we talked about how verbs can become a noun, how nouns can become verb. Then now phrasal verbs can be converted into a noun. That is, to print out becomes print out, to drop out becomes drop out. Next one is we can convert adjectives to verb. So adjective can be converted into verb. Now see here some example. Empty glass. So glass is noun, empty is an adjective. Dirty cloth. Cloth is noun, dirty is an adjective. So adjective can be converted into verb by changing, this process is called as conversion. Now look at how this empty glass or dirty cloth like adjectives can be converted into verb. Now to empty glass we can say to empty glass. Then dirty cloth can become dirty cloth. I have to wash to dirty cloth. Dirty cloth. So it becomes verb to empty glass, to dirty cloth. Then sometimes words like up and down, they can be also used as a verb. Now we can illustrate it through an example. Now look at the sentence. First sentence is about up, second sentence will be of down. In first sentence, they will up the cost of fuel. So here up is used as verb. Here up is not used as preposition, instead it is used as verb. So they will up the cost of fuel. So preposition up can be used as a verb. The second sentence, we don't the cost of fuel, or you can say the drinks. We down the drinks at the party. So here down is used as verb, up is used as a verb. So in conversion you can see phonological change, or sometimes the function is changed, or class is changed, or the category is changed. So it can be converted from verb to noun, noun to verb, from phrasal verb to noun, or from adjective to verb. So the next process of word formation is derivation. While studying morphology, we talked about bound morpheme, we talked about inflectional morphemes and derivational morphemes. The formation of new words by the use of derivational morphemes is called as derivation. So in inflectional morpheme we saw that we can change the class, or we do not change the class or the category of the word in inflectional morphemes, but in derivational morpheme the class is changed and new word is introduced into the lexicons of that language. So morphemes create new words by changing the meaning of the word, or by shifting it or putting it into different categories. So here category is changed, so words can be put into different category, or new words can be formed. So we talked about in detail while dealing with morphology, in morphologies, how derivational morphemes are formed. So this is the common process applied in areas like medicine, science, arts and technology. Number of words can be formed by this process of derivational morphemes. So it is used to form new words or change the grammatical category. You can see here, as I talked about it while discussing the morphology, how norm can become a normal. So norm is the word which is noun and normal becomes adjective. You can see here, as I talked about in derivational morpheme, class or function, which is also called as class, function or category, is changed. The class, function or the category of the word is changed. Now you can see here the root or the base or the stem. Here is noun, norm is noun, and its category changed, it becomes here adjective. So class is changed, so noun became an adjective. So when such sort of words are formed, this process is called as, this process of creating words is called as derivational or derivation. So number of words can be found in languages where you can see new word or the class is changed or category changed. For example, look at the word sing, then it can become a singer, category change, sing, singer. Write is verb and writer is noun, so verb became noun. So this category or the class is changed, this is to be called as derivational. So rest of the process of word formation we will see it in next lecture. We are going to split this lecture into two parts. This is the first part. In the second part we are going to learn about other processes or other methods through which words can be formed.